Okay, this is my activity 8. And as we know, the case study was designed in 1889 by the New York Court of Appeals, and it's still an interesting case today. In summary, the present case speaks with respect to Francis B. Palmer, who was the grandfather of Elmer, who knew of the provisions made for in his favor and the will and could prevent his father from revoking such provisions, an intention which they later have manifested to do. It was thus that Elmer, in order to obtain the speedy enjoyment and immediate possession of his property, intentionally murdered him by poisoning, thus claiming ownership. But now the question is, can Elmer have it? From Judge Earl, I'm going to mention Judge Earl, who was an American lawyer and politician from New York. He was Chief Judge of the New York Court of Appeals in the year 1870 and 1892, and he found the following. While the defendant said that the testator is dead, that his will was made in due and being provided to be legal, and that consequently it must take effect according to the literal application of the law. It is quite true that the laws regulating the preparations, proof, and effects of wills and the transmission of property, if literally construed, and if this force and effect cannot be controlled or modified in any way and under any circumstances, vest the property in the accessions. Earl mentions that the purpose of these laws was to allow the testators to dispose of their inheritance as a reward at the time of their death and to give effect to their last legally expressed wishes. Such purpose must be taken into account. Now, as we know, it was the intention of the legislator that those instituted in a will should obtain the property grant to them. But in no case could it have been his intentions that a person called to inherit and who murders the testator to make his will effective should have any benefit under it. As a judge, if this case has been presented to our consideration and it has become necessary to make a disposition in the law to undertake it, we cannot doubt that the legislators will have so disposed. To make a correct ruling on whether a case falls within the equity of the statute, it is well to assume that the legislator is present and has been asked this question: did you intend to include this case? Then you must imagine how you, being a correct and rational man, who will have given an answer. In some cases, the letter of the law is restricted by the equitable interpretations. In others, is to extend it. In other, the interpretation is contrary to the letter of the law. And then, if the legislators could, from this case question, be consulted, would they say that it was their intention by general language that the property of a testator or assentant should be transferred to one who has taken his life for the express purpose of obtaining his property? For this reason, it is important to mention that no one should be allowed to benefit from his own fraud or take advantage of his own error to base any claim on his own iniquity or to acquire property on the basis of their own crime. So it is was that George Field writing his book, and he brought this the things that I'm going to mention, that irrespective of any proof of Hunter motives and obtaining the policy, and even assuming them to be just and proper, he waived all his rights under it when, in order to secure its immediate payment, he murdered the insured. It will be an opprobrium against the legal science of the country if anyone could collect the insurance money payable upon the death of a party whose life he had criminally taken. It is in this way he could also collect the insurance money on a property which he has intentionally set on fire. And